Ah, yes. Welcome back, people. Thank you all for staying tuned. I'm back, like I mentioned, with another video. And this time I'm playing as white against a 1625. As you can tell, my rating did take a bit of a hit, now on 1630, but so far so good. And we're playing the Scotch. So e5, so e4, e5, bring my knight out. They bring their knight out. So they're playing exactly into my preparation, what I expect, and really um, how the Scotch game actually works. I push in the center, and in this instance, there's just a bunch of noise happening all at once. In this instance, they push and they take, and I bring my bishop out. So I'm playing the Scotch Gambit as it reads out here, and they push. This move made no sense to me. I didn't know what exactly the pawn move did, but I think they thought I was going to bring my knight in here to attack this square here, which is an option, but it's not really something that I think to do. So I castle. That was the only logical move that made sense. They push, and I attack the center again. Again, I'm giving up another pawn. These are the moves you want to know because you want to open as many lines as possible for your attack. They took, and I immediately take a check. So before I would have taken with the pawn here, but it's much better to go in this line and expose the king, prevent the king from casting. Check. I took. So had they gone back to f8, I would have taken a check and taken the pawn. So the attack here, offer queen trade. I don't know if I would have taken it. I don't know if I should have. It just didn't make sense. But I took the pawn. And as you can see here from the lines here, that's the best move, really. Um, so exchanging queens is not it. So I kept my queen on the board. They moved their knight out. So bear in mind, at this point, I'm a little lost as to what to do. The only thing I can think of is little tricks. You know, should they take this pawn? I can pin and, all sorts of nasty things. So that's why I attacked. Because my hope was, not nice my hope, but the idea was if they take this pawn here, well, I pin him and I'm winning a piece. So my opponent was aware and opted to attack my queen. So I moved my queen up. Thought I didn't really have too many options. D3, I don't know why I didn't like D3, but anyway. So they continue attacking and I move back. And honestly, at this point, I'm a little lost for what to do. So we repeat, but I'm thinking to myself, if I think of any other move, I'm probably going to lose this game somehow, or I'm going to make a stupid error. So I was essentially happy with the draw, and which is what we did. This was a draw, and like I said, I was rusty, but nothing will prepare you for what I did next. Because here, my opponent was just waiting for me to do something. So let me show you game two and see how this game went. Uh, so I'm going to show you the game and then I'm going to review it afterwards. And again, we're playing e4. They played e6, which I was confused by. So I continue my way. So it looks like they're playing the French defense, and I'm like, okay. I don't know how to play against it, but let's play. So I push back in the center, and here I was a bit annoyed because technically I did give up a pawn and they're attacking with tempo, but my opponent opted for this move, which allowed me to take. They took back, and I took that pawn. They took with the bishop, and I'm thinking, okay, I have no pawns in the center. My opponent has a pawn in the center. It's an isolated pawn. It can't be protected by any other pawns. So essentially a piece has to guard it. So I opt to put my king to safety. I castle, my opponent castles, and I'm thinking, okay, Ideally, I wouldn't want them to castle because they have a position. But anyway, we go on. So I pin the knight, the attack, and I took. This was very aggressive of me. Usually, I would have hoped maybe I would have done something like this, move it back to see if they'll do this weakness here. But I took, they took the queen, and I'm just taking my pieces out. So at this point, I'm moving with tempo essentially because if they let me take this pawn, I attack with tempo, or if they push, I move my pawn, my knight to e4, attacking the queen, and essentially a forking with the bishop, but then they can protect all sorts of things. Um, and so they did this move, which I wasn't too worried about because I just simply took the pawn. Because I think I can't remember what move it was. I don't know if it was move 11 or 13 when I realized my opponent didn't really have any counterplay or anything to play for really. So they move your queen across, and I move my knight, my rook in. So essentially, I'm controlling the file, and I'm looking to attack this square because that's a fork. If they let me, so my opponent took, and I took with my queen again. Same threats to apply. And my opponent played this move, which I don't know. I think in their mind, it's the hopes that, you know what, I can't explain it. So I bring my bishop up. So now the idea is, do you want to sack an exchange or, move your queen out the way? So they moved their queen out the way, and I went with this check. So it feels like a misclick, right? But actually, I win an exchange by forcing the moves this way. And you can tell Stockfish really likes my move here. Um, and it's actually the second best move. The best move would have been b4. What does that do? Oh, it attacks this and moves it to a passive square. Okay, okay. There were other moves, but I went for this check. They took with the queen, and this is how you win the exchange. Essentially, I'm winning, and also I'm attacking with tempo here. If I can draw arrows, I'm attacking with tempo here. So they moved the queen, and I took my piece. So I'm up in exchange. I'm not up a piece. I'm up in exchange. And so my opponent goes this route, and excuse me, my opponent goes this route, and so here I'm opting to attack because this square here is protected 3 times. If they take, I can't draw arrows today. They take, I take, they take again, I take with my queen. So there was no threat. So they took him, essentially trying to get me off this line here and not protect my bishop. So I just took with the queen. They went for the check. I moved back. They checked again. I moved back. Uh, it's the corner. They check again. And at this point, I'm happy with this position because I'm winning. I'm winning by a landslide. And like I said, it was probably move 13 when I realized how much I had going on for me. So they pushed their rook to the corner there, and I moved my rook up. And I don't know what my opponent is really trying to do here. So they opt to attack. I move my bishop back. There's no point in me losing pieces unnecessarily. So I push and I double. And this is where essentially the game's done. Because they had this move here, but it felt like me doubling was more important because I can always defend this with my queen and move my queen out the way and we just exchange. And I have no problems with that. So they went for that move, and I essentially go for this attack, yeah. Um, but my idea is to win this rook. And really keep this rook here on this far here, protecting back rank. Um, so they move their queen here, and I'm because essentially they're trying to win a piece somehow. So I just move my bishop to safety. My attack, my threat still exists, and there's really nothing my opponent can do. So they push through, and I just make a luft for my king, because if they came and sacked here, it's checkmate. For example, had I played anything else like maybe this, um, and my opponent goes this way, does this work? It does work, because do you see where I would be losing? So essentially, I wouldn't need to take, but I'd have to take. That's the only move, and they take. Yeah, I'm done for because that's the end of the game. So that didn't happen. I did this, made a luft for my king, and they bring their knight in, and I just took it. Why am I overcomplicating things, right? So I took, and here I pinned their rook, so they don't have flexibility. So my opponent takes, and I take with check, and my opponent is down a piece. Um, and when they made this move, this was a fatal error, but they had no other move, so I'm winning. So I took the queen, or I forced an exchange of queens. I took, and here I'm just going to promote, because you can't cross this divide here. The D file is mine, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. And I promote to my queen, hoping for some resignation, but my opponent's got a minute. I have a minute and plus 2 minutes essentially. It's more than enough time for me to do what I need to do. So I hadn't really thought about this when they played this move, but I played this check, and I was even surprised when the game ended. But my idea was give a check that makes sense. Let's move their king a certain direction, and then we can see how to mate. Um, I wasn't worried about taking pawns or leaving their king exposed. I had enough pieces for me to promote and to win the game. And that's what I did. So if we have a look at the analysis quickly, um, let's see. So these are all book moves, right? This is the beginning. And it wants me to give the check. Now, my issue with the check was if I check, if I played this check here, um, yeah, what's the follow-up? Okay, usually most people tend to put their bishop down block and offering an exchange of bishops. And in the Scotch, you want the light square bishop. So we move around this way and bring the queen. This is move. Yeah, so I'm right. I was right in determining when I was playing the game that by move 13, I was winning. And you can tell the computer said I'm winning by like +2 at present. And I never let up. If you look at the graph here, look at the white bit. I never let up. I never let go of the advantage here. And yes. It's a brilliant, people. It's a brilliant. It was a brilliant move. I'm glad I saw this tactic. Pretty chuffed to myself. Yeah. So I was playing the best moves and actually taking with the king and not moving my bishop. Okay. Wow. Okay. Because you can't attack it. Okay. So generally, key lessons for me and for anyone who plays a Scotch or Scotch Gambit. If you don't allow tempo, because they're threatening a queen and forcing it to move away. So being forced to move away, it allows for errors. Because imagine you don't see this and you play that, you give up a queen and game's over. Is it game over? Let's see. Yeah, I think it's game over. Yeah, there's nothing you can do here. Oh, let's make one. So, yeah, it can go a variety of ways, but no, there's no way the game would have ended that way. So yeah, and I got mate in one. The moment I got mate in one, I played it, which is always nice. It also lends itself to a high accuracy game. So in this game, I played very well. And if you have a look here, I played with a 91.3% accuracy. Super chuffed. I had one mistake, which was, okay, yeah, that pawn move, yes, I should have blockaded the center there. But anyway, and instead I played like a 2250. I wish I could play like this all the time. But anyway, it was a good game, and thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, and I'll post more regularly, and I'll play more games, and let's see that rating go up. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.